Look, I understand we're sitting here in the middle of May and the Super Bowl took place back in February. I am still not over that Super Bowl defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. I think about it all the time, and honestly, sometimes I lose sleep over it. But on today's show, I'm going to explain why the Philadelphia Eagles can win it all this year, get back to the Super Bowl, and this time bring back that vaunted second Lombardi trophy. Let's start off with this. This offense is still loaded. And can Jalen Hurts take that next step? More thoughts on that coming up. But you look at the offense here. Is there a better wide receiver duo than A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith? There might not be. And then you add Dallas Goedert into that equation as well. Outside of George Kittle, probably the best all-around tight end in the NFL. You lost Isaac Seumalo and Miles Sanders in free agency. You replaced Miles Sanders with DeAndre Swift, who honestly I think is a better and more talented running back who hasn't quite tapped in to his fullest potential so far in 3 years in his NFL career. He's also a better pass catcher as compared to Miles Sanders. You're still going to have one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League. Jordan Mailata, left tackle. Landon Dickerson, left guard. Jason Kelce, the center. Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen at right guard, little bit of a question mark, we'll see, but I trust Jeff Stoutland. And then you have Lane Johnson at right tackle. Now, Brian Johnson will be calling the plays, but this is a guy who's helped tutor and develop Dak Prescott, Kyle Trask, Jalen Hurts. He's been with this organization for the previous 2 years, has a good working relationship with Jalen Hurts, who he knows because Hurts' dad coached Brian Johnson when Brian Johnson was in high school. So I think that familiarity is going to help this offense out, and he's calling plays for an offense that is really, really loaded. So I think that Jalen Hurts can take another step. I understand that from year 2 to year 3, he took that Josh Allen type of leap. Is there a better quarterback in there? I mean, shoot. He went blow for blow, stride for stride, throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes, and outside of the scoop and score fumble, you can make the argument Jalen Hurts may have outplayed Patrick Mahomes. So what he did in that Super Bowl, is that the type of quarterback airing it out that we can see more often? And if that's the case, look out. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, you think about other teams in the National Football League who have a 1-2 punch at wide receiver and that tight end. You know, the San Francisco 49ers have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, but I think A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith better collectively than those two wide receivers. And then there's not a large gap between Kittle and Dallas Goedert. Jalen Hurts has a semblance of weapons to throw to. This Eagles offense can also carve you up in a couple of different ways. If a game gets ugly, they'll win it. If they have to run, they can do it. If they have to air it out like they did in the Super Bowl, they can win that way as well. As for Nick Sirianni, you're not really going to go anywhere as an organization if you don't have a quality head coach. And for Philadelphia, they're about as good of a spot as they can be in right now, from the owner Jeffrey Lurie to Howie Roseman, the best GM in the NFL, and Nick Sirianni is one of the best coaches in the NFL. His ability to have his schemes adjust on the fly, like what he did in the 2021 season, really impressive. To have that balance of being a player's coach, but also holding guys accountable, I think is awesome. I love his swagger because I believe that translates to the rest of the locker room. This guy continues to be not talked about enough in the national media landscape. Give Nick Sirianni his flowers. As for the Philadelphia Eagles defense here, they have the deepest defensive line in the NFL. And it's my team building philosophy. I just happen to share the same philosophy with Howie Roseman. You build your teams inside out. Obviously, you have to get the quarterback right. That's number one. But you have to protect the quarterback, but you also have to attack, pester, and get after the opposing quarterback. And the Eagles are going to be able to do that. I mean, their starting defensive front is going to be Brandon Graham. It's going to be Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, and Haason Reddick. And then you're going to have backups of Derek Barnett, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, and Nolan Smith. What other team in the NFL can go about 10 deep along the defensive line? Eagles have that luxury. As for the secondary, you do lose Your two starting safeties and Marcus Epps and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. C.D. Deuce, unfortunately, throwing some shade toward the Eagles. Unfortunate because he was a fan favorite, saying that the Eagles front office turned their backs on him when in reality they offered him a big contract, multi-year deal. He didn't sign it, and they said, look, you don't sign it, we're going to move on elsewhere. We're going to bring back James Bradberry and Darius Slay. That's the point here. You have James Bradberry, you have Darius Slay in a pass-happy NFL. You bring in Greedy Williams. You have Avonte Maddox. The linebacking core, the jury is out there, but you can win with the mediocre linebacking core because the Eagles have never really invested there. You have to stop the pass in today's NFL. Eagles have shown they can certainly do that. Look out for a big year for Reed Blankenship. Terrell Edmonds, a good signing as well. The defense, it is younger, and they're going to have to get leaps from some young players, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, just to name two, but they have impact players for sure. I mean, this defense can still be very, very good. And then the NFC East, it is absolutely there for the taking. There hasn't been a repeat winner in this division since the Eagles went on that awesome run at the start of Andy Reid's tenure in the early 2000s. I think the year 2003, 2004. But are we really banking on the Cowboys to have a monster year? I have concerns about the Giants and the depth on that roster. The Commanders, I think, are going to be dog shit. So this division is there for the taking. You win it, you already get a home playoff game. You win a couple more games outside of that, and you get a really good playoff positioning there in the NFC. Speaking of the NFC, which team is better than Philadelphia here? Oh, wait. It's not the San Francisco 49ers. Look, Niner fans, and I cover the Niners as well, so I'm tapped into the fan base. I know what they say. The organization, the players, the fans, they've said, well, if we had Brock Purdy, we could have won that game. Here's the thing, though. Even with or without Brock Purdy, the Niners got their asses kicked in the trenches, and that was the constant theme of that game. Not just with the Eagles' defensive line getting after the quarterback. The Eagles' offensive line manhandled the Niners' defensive line, and Lane Johnson put the clamps on Nick Bosa. So outside of that, Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, the other top teams in the NFC, you don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers any longer. Eagles, top dogs in the NFC, hungry dogs run faster. As for the schedule, it will pose challenges, but there are certainly winnable games. In my schedule prediction, I have the Eagles getting off to a really good start. You know, there is that stretch where you're playing Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, the Miami Dolphins, traveling to Seattle, San Francisco 49ers. That's why I think it's important for Philadelphia to start off fast here, and I think they will start fast to give themselves some wiggle room. Before we start taking your questions, sub for Eagles dubs. We've been picking up subscribers like crazy. I think that means that we're doing a good job, and we appreciate all of your support, year-round coverage on the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's answer some of your questions here. Robert DeBruce, are they going to run a 3-4 defense or a 4-3? By the way, love what Sean Desai said on Friday, basically saying this defense is going to emulate the city's attitude. It's going to kind of be a hybrid. Sean Desai is a Vic Fangio disciple. Vic Fangio is famously known for running a 3-4 defense with Haason Reddick as your outside Sam backer, stand-up pass rusher. You want to put him in a position to succeed. Jonathan Gannon's defense was certainly multiple. It could be classified as a 3-4, but I think also they're going to have some 4-3 fronts as well. Scott Benoit, 14-3 for the Eagles at worst. Might nearly run the table again. It's possible. It's possible, but to do that back-to-back years, that is upper echelon stuff in the history of the NFL. Tariq Shell, with the great draft the Eagles had, can we win back-to-back Lombardi trophies and then draft again next year with the high draft pick again in Howie we trust? Look, they can win it this year, and they can win it the following year. The Jalen Hurts cap hits really don't take effect for a couple of years down the road, and this Eagles team, as an organization, is positioned to compete right now, and they already have really good draft capital for 2024 as well. Tariq, great question there. AJ, what do y'all think about those late tough games like the Niners, Chiefs, Bills? It's going to be tough, and honestly, it could define the Eagles season if they don't get off to a hot start. The thing is, they end the season with 2 games against the Giants in 3 weeks. Jonathan Gannon coming to town. That's an opportunity to stack wins. Last one here, Epic Jake. I know it's a long shot, but it's a good thought of the Eagles bringing back Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles as the third-string quarterback to mentor Jalen Hurts and send Tanner McKee and Ian Book to the practice squad. And then Nick Foles can retire an Eagle. But I think the most likely option, he will sign a one-day contract with Philly when he retires. He did an interview after he was let go by Indianapolis, and he said, you know what? I have no idea what's going to happen for the rest of my career, if there is a rest of my career. He said, basically, for a couple of seasons in my career, the last several, I've been on a year-by-year basis thinking about retiring regardless. Look, you drafted Tanner McKee, you have Ian Book. Can you bring in Nick Foles and he would be a better backup third-string quarterback than those two? Yes. Could he cost more? For sure. You brought in Marcus Mariota to be the backup, and can Nick Foles be a little bit of a distraction? Look, I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to get distracted at all by having Nick Foles, but, if he gets injured, Marcus Mariota doesn't play well, people are going to be calling for Nick Foles. It would be a cool story. What I think the Eagles should do, let him come with the team week 1 on the road in Foxborough, and when the Patriots honor Tom Brady there, you have Nick Foles walk out the center field to shake Tom Brady's hand and say, what happened in Super Bowl 52? You couldn't catch. I could on the Philly special. I out-duked you. We put up more points. We were the Super Bowl champions. What up? Funny. Not going to happen. It would be awesome if it did happen. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go, Birds. Subscribe to the channel today. We'll catch you next time here on Eagles Now. We appreciate the Bird Gang.